Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at another error moveset Kyurem base form in the Master League. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Shadow Daddy, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now previously we had taken a look at an unobtainable legacy Shadow Claw Kyurem base form in the Master League. This Kyurem base form has unobtainable legacy Ice Fang and Fusion Flare, so instead of one unobtainable legacy move, we're looking at two. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and let's take a look at this error moveset Kyurem in the Master League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a terrific lead, Kyurem into Kyogre. Kyogre gonna stay in for a little bit, safe switch into Zacian Crown form, which will swiftly be answered with Fire Fang Reshiram. The Fire Fangs are adding up quite considerably. Reshiram can survive any one move. Behemoth Blade is gonna land. Reshiram goes for the farm down, but unfortunately Zacian survives with 1 HP remaining, and Reshiram will get KO'd. In comes the unobtainable legacy Kyurem to get a farm down, in comes Ho-Oh, and now Kyurem gets to fire off Glaciate. Obviously this Kyurem has Ice Fang as its fast move. Ice Fangs are adding up. The opponent is going to fire off the Brave Bird, and considering there's a Shadow Palkia in the back, this game is so over. Palkia is going to be met with Kyogre, and this opponent just did not plan for Palkia whatsoever. Palkia firing off the Aqua Tail just to get Kyogre lower. This can only be a Surf, but at this point, Palkia may as well preserve whatever health that it can, as it's going to get a full farm down and just be able to outpace the Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh can never farm down. Opponent is going to resign the match as Palkia gets to the back-to-back Aqua Tails. Hopping into game number 2, leading this unobtainable legacy Kyurem, and it's once again met with Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh obviously is going to get outpaced here. It's going to be 7 Ice Fangs to the Glaciate, and now this Ho-Oh is going to be debuffed. Glaciate is going to connect, Ho-Oh is going to farm up here, and Ho-Oh will fire off a Sacred Fire onto the Kyurem. Kyurem with the no shield, Sacred Fire is going to land, and it looks like Kyurem will actually be able to hang on and make it to another Glaciate. This will guarantee switch or shield advantage. The Glaciate does get shielded. In comes Shadow Palkia, but the second Shadow Dragon Tail barely does not pick up the knockout. And unfortunately, Palkia is forced to give up a shield to a Brave Bird. But the opponent switch locks a Crown Form Zacian, and that's going to be answered with the Fire Fang Reshiram. Reshiram learning from the misplay from game number 1, firing off the Fusion Flare and grabbing a shield from the opponent. They do have a ton of energy loaded on the Zacian, but no one move will pick up the knockout. Close Combat is going to land. They make Close Combat number 2. Reshiram is going to decide to commit the shield here. Investing in the Reshiram, it doesn't have much health remaining, but it has a decent amount of energy. In comes Kyurem, and this is Kyurem White, the Pokemon that does actually learn Ice Fang and Fusion Flare. Fusion Flare does big damage. Palkia will get a full farm down. Opponent's not going to get to a move other than a Fusion Flare, and Fusion Flare is double resisted. So this is very, very fine. In comes the Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh was basically at 1 HP already, so this Shadow Aqua Tail is massive overkill, but either way, the game is going to end in a win. We move to game number 3 of the set. It's Kyurem staring down Crown Form Zacian. This is a nightmare lead. But with unobtainable legacy Fusion Flare, Kyurem actually does have a way to fight back here. The opponent shouldn't respect this, as every move is resisted, but they actually end up shielding. Oh, that is tragic. At the very least, Kyurem was able to force a shield advantage out of this early game matchup. I actually really don't like the shield call here because Kyurem does not win charge attack priority. So Kyurem would have been better off taking the shield advantage and then bringing in Reshiram, as now there's no shield advantage to be had. Opponent is going to send in a Garchomp. These battles do take place around 2000 ELO, and around that ELO range, you're going to see some legendaries that aren't fully maxed out, as well as trainers trying Mons that are usually found in Premier rather than found in the Open Master League. Garchomp is going to make one final move. It's going to be the Sand Tomb. Palkia does have a ton of energy. In comes the Zacian. Can a Shadow Aqua Tail knock out from here? I think it actually may be able to do so. It does pick up the KO. Down goes Zacian. In comes Rhyperior. Palkia at the back-to-back Aqua Tails. Can Palkia hang on here to make both moves? And it looks like it can. Palkia survives the Mud Slap, gets to fire off the Aqua Tail, KOing Rhyperior, and against all odds, taking the win. We move to the next match, Kyurem versus Dawnwing's Necrozma. This is a fine enough matchup for the Kyurem, as Kyurem obviously can outpace and get to the Glaciate before the opponent is able to threaten a shield or a knockout with the Moongeist Beam. Glaciate does get shielded. That move does not knock out, but obviously if it's no shielded, then Kyurem can potentially Ice Fang down after. No shield calling the Dark Pulse bait. That is unfortunate for the opponent, as now the opponent is just going to strictly lose the one shield scenario. So the Dark Pulse is going to be shielded up. Kyurem will get to pick up the knockout here with the Glaciate. Dawnwings, the double shield. Can Dawnwings farm down? No, they cannot, and Dawnwings is going to be forced to waste energy. So a very unfortunate turn of events for Dawnwings. In comes Shadow Palkia. Palkia gonna get a big farm down, exiting with quite a lot of energy. In comes Zacian. Is it time for the Fire Blast? No. Banking the energy and sending in Reshiram instead. Reshiram answered with Ho-Oh, but it's all over for Ho-Oh as this Reshiram has Stone Edge. This is gonna be so long. Good night. Down goes Ho-Oh. In comes Zacian, and you absolutely just fully sacrifice the Reshiram, because if there's one way this game has to end, it's gonna be with a Fire Blast. And that's exactly what this battler has in mind. Close combat, picking up the knockout. In comes the Palkia, getting to the Fire Blast. No bubbles needed here, as Fire Blast is massive overkill, knocking out Zacian and taking the win. We move to the next match, and it's a good lead Ice Fang Kyurem versus Rhyperior. Rhyperior is going to be staying in to start with, safe switching into Palkia, and that's going to be answered with the Shadow Palkia. But this Shadow Palkia is a little bit underleveled. Is that going to be a problem here? The Dragon Tail's looking for the farm down, and it costs switch advantage. Dragon Tail is just so clunky. There's a reason Dragon Breath is strictly better, is the clunkiness of Dragon Tail and the fact that it's slightly underpowered mean that unfortunately switch advantage and shield advantage are both lost. In comes Zacian, Fusion Flare is gonna land, there's big damage, in comes Reshiram, but unfortunately Rhyperior is just going to completely sweep this endgame. Behemoth Blade is gonna land, in comes Rhyperior. Rhyperior doesn't have to shield this if it doesn't want to, but if it wants to try and preserve health, it may put up a shield, because at this point in the game, what else is it going to have the opportunity to shield? So we will see the shield on the Fusion Flare, and Rhyperior is actually on Surf as their bait move, but realistically, there's just no win con, as even a -1 from this health range, a Surf can probably pick up the KO. The opponent is going to be under-tapping that move. It is going to be the Rock Wrecker. Down goes Kyurem, and unfortunately, Dragon Tail really ended up being the loose con in that game. Picking up an atrociously bad lead, Kyurem into Dialga. This team is triple weak to Dialga, so this is the absolute worst case scenario. This is probably just going to be an auto loss based on the fact that Dialga is here, and there's just no way for this team to ever beat a Dialga. Kyurem is going to put up a shield, though. Kyurem's going to try and make it to another Glaciate. Kyurem does not get there. No, I thought it was going to get there, but at the last second, Dragon Breath sniped down the last bit of Kyurem's health bar. And man, if that last second Glaciate was reached, maybe there was a chance. But now, I mean, basically 2 Pokemon have been KO'd by this Dialga. In comes Palkia, and unfortunately there's no Draco Meteor, and there's a Fire Fang Reshiram in the back. Their Palkia is going to commit the shield, and now just look to fire off energy here at the shieldless Reshiram. Aqua Tail lands, and Aqua Tail just continues to chip away at the health of the Reshiram. There's Aqua Tail number 2, and yeah, this was basically over from lock-in once there was a Dialga, but them also having a Palkia in the back meant that Fire Fang Reshiram was completely useless. We have an absolute blast from the past in the next match, a forgotten relic of Master League past, and that is Mewtwo. Mewtwo was once a Titan, but time and power creep have reduced it to a complete non-factor. Mewtwo grabs a shield. We're going to see a Kyogre save switch, swiftly answered with Shadow Palkia. Now, Shadow Palkia in particular may actually take enough damage from a Thunder here that it could be problematic. Obviously, Palkia Origin, which is the better Palkia, will always be able to tank a Thunder and farm down, but it looks like the Shadow Palkia, and a bit underpowered at that, will actually have to fire off energy. But because Waterfall is so ineffective here, Palkia will be able to force both shields from the Kyogre. In comes Kyurem. Kyurem never going to be worried about shielding a Surf, and Kyurem will get a very nice farm down and just exit with so much energy. And this Ice Fire cover just pretty nice. In comes the Zacian, and Zacian's not ready for what's about to happen to it here. Back-to-back Fusion Flares. Zacian crown form, the Master League's strongest Pokemon, instantly sent back to the Pokeball. Back in comes the Mewtwo, and Kyurem is looking for this end game sweep. No, Kyurem could have shielded and taken the win, but instead it's going to be Reshiram that's going to take home the victory here. Side Strike comes through from the Mewtwo. It wouldn't even KO anyway, but you don't get to take your shields with you. So we're going to see the shield from Reshiram, and Reshiram will get to take the win with the Fusion Flare. The ABA Fusion Flare team able to take home another win. We move to the next match, Kyurem versus Duskmane Necrozma. A bad lead, but Fusion Flare will help. This Duskmane is actually on Psycho Cut, and that means they're gonna make it to the Sunsteel Strike when the Fusion Flare is reached. Our battler does not realize it's Psycho Cut, and they're getting one shot. Oh no, that is so unfortunate. In comes Reshiram. Reshiram going to be shielding up the Dark Pulse and looking to go for a full farm down, but losing Kyurem instantly was just absolutely devastating as all that energy just vanished. In comes Zekrom. Zekrom going to be met with a Stone Edge. Stone Edge will grab a shield. In comes Shadow Palkia, and these Dragon Tails are putting in some serious work. Timing mistake from the opponent means that an entire Dragon Tail sneaks through for free, and that allows Palkia to get a full farm down. In the back, it's going to be Kyurem Black, and we will see Palkia fire off the Aqua Tail. That's going to grab a shield from the opponent. Reshiram trying so desperately to get to the Stone Edge, but it just cannot get there as Kyurem makes the Fusion Bolt and will take the win. That last battle was a tough one, looking for a bit of redemption in the next match, but the lead is not getting any easier, staring down a crown form Zacian, and we know that this lead matchup is not one that Kyurem can win. But this team is ABA weak, so Kyurem's going to have to stay in, at the very least able to force a shield. This time, we'll see if the battler learns from the misplay from the previous match, and they did. That's really nice understanding of, hey, last time I shielded close combat, it didn't work out well for me, so this time I'm just going to take the shield advantage. And now in comes Reshiram. Reshiram able to get a huge energy head start as Zacian makes one final close combat. Out comes Zamazenta, and it appears this opponent is so core broken by Fire Fang Reshiram. Reshiram had back-to-back Fusion Flares. Fusion Flare number 1 is going to be shielded, but there's another one loaded and ready to go. Fusion Flare number 2 picks up the KO. Down comes Zamazenta, and it's a Palkia in the back. What were they doing? They had a Palkia for the Fire Fang user. They didn't bring it in. They brought in Zamazenta, and they just completely lost the game. We move to the next match, and I was about to say this is going to be a 1v3 Primarina sweep, but it's a waterfall Primarina, so somehow this is actually okay for Kyurem. Kyurem farming up a ton of energy. The opponent switches out of a winning lead matchup into Zacian. Zacian burned by the Fusion Flare, and in comes Reshiram to get the Fire Fang farm down. Reshiram does escape on basically full health and can survive any move that Primarina throws here. Primarina is going to be firing off the Hydro Cannon and immediately followed by Hydro Cannon number 2. Reshiram going to be no shielding. This Hydro Cannon will not KO, barely able to hang on and fire off a last second Fusion Flare. Fusion Flare is going to pick up the knockout. In the back is going to be Ho-Oh. And this poor Ho-Oh is about to meet its maker as in comes Shadow Palkia. Shadow Palkia farming up these Dragon Tails, dealing pretty significant damage. Opponent is going to go for the Sacred Fire. We see the switch into the Kyurem, and Kyurem's just looking to apply debuffs. Kyurem will get the Glaciate. Now the opponent is going to be debuffed for the remainder of this battle. They have no way of resetting this attack drop. They're forced to fire off energy, and then Palkia will be able to farm down. I'm very surprised the opponent didn't top left immediately upon seeing the Palkia, because realistically, this game has been over for quite some time. Hopping into the final match, Kyurem versus Ho-Oh. We've seen this lead matchup play out before, but this time we actually see a switch out. So choosing to send in Shadow Palkia, baiting out an Ice Fang Zamazenta. Zamazenta will fire off energy. Palkia with the no shield. Opponent goes for the Behemoth Blade. It does not KO. Oh no. Oh no. Are they gonna no shield the Fire Blast? They do not. No, they shield. Oh, I am heartbroken. Oh my goodness, I was so looking forward to the Fire Blast landing, but they actually respect it. Oh, that is just devastating. Zamazenta fires off the close combat, will get farmed down by the Reshiram. In comes Ho-Oh, but if we didn't see Fire Blast land, maybe we can see the Stone Edge land. Reshiram unleashing Stone Edge. There's our one shot. They get KO'd. It's going to be Crown Form Zacian in the back. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. All in all, I'm not quite sure how people keep getting these error moveset Kyurems. Personally, since I had spare Kyurem Fusion Energy, I actually unfused one of my Kyurems to see, does it get these unobtainable legacy moves? And mine didn't. Mine ended up just with a regular, normal Kyurem moveset. So I'm not quite sure how people are getting these unobtainable legacy error moveset Kyurems. Maybe they're unfusing it during a certain event or something like that, but either way, a few of them do exist. Granted, when it comes to the overall Master League meta, none of these error moveset Kyurems are particularly meta shaking, which is good because obviously it's not a moveset that it's supposed to learn normally, but I just really like finding game oddities like these. Whether it's the unobtainable legacy quick attack Starmie, which obviously Psywave is so much better on Starmie now, but I can never get rid of the unobtainable legacy quick attack. Honestly, if we ever do have a Star U event at some point in the future, I would love to be able to grind the XLs to build a second level 50 Starmie, so I could have one with Psywave and keep the unobtainable legacy Starmie one with unobtainable legacy quick attack. But enough about Starmie, back to the actual stuff that we were talking about in the video. Yeah, overall, I just think these like oddity style movesets are very cool, so I'm very happy this trainer got to send in the footage, so we got to see it in action, and we got to see some Crown Form Zacian, well, many Crown Form Zacian, really have a bad day against the Pokemon that normally it should be completely walling. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.